I'm from a country house in the middle of Kansas. Flat, 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 and windy. My nearest neighbor was 2 miles. It was cozy on the inside, though. My parents never spoke to me unless they had to. They just stared at me. For the longest time, I can picture my father standing in the doorway watching me play. I never could tell if he was smiling or not. My mother would stand and, from the time I was 2 years old, watch me dress. You know what? I can remember seeing my mother just standing, not moving, unless it was to correct me. Love was correction, perfection. Eating at the table was quiet. I can still hear the sound of my fork as it would clank on the plate. I would talk to the floor by pushing my foot into it until it creaked back exactly the sound as I wanted to hear it. And I would go and communicate with these things in the house that made noise, sounds. Not fantasies or fairy tales, but worlds. My world. No animals, no human friends. These things, the sounds of things, are my friends. I have a friend with benefits, as it were. We meet up each time I'm in a different country. The different places turn me on. And naturally, he's quiet. He's strong, though. I do make him talk to me. Not love, not mush, but just conversation. Conversation turns me on. Conversation arouses me. It's like a kid who grew up never being allowed to have chocolate, and now, as an adult, chocolate becomes his vice. Well, conversation is my vice. There are things going on in the infrastructure in developing countries that to you would seem spooky. Experiments. You have no idea how anarchy, despotism, and poverty provide a playroom for science and technology. Put a great cause behind any tech upgrade, and you've provided the moral rationale to turn everybody into a lab rat. See, Africa is like a prisoner. And so you tell the prisoner that he gets to try the experimental cure for the disease he has. But it's in exchange for a cot for his mat. Biocomputers, computers that use molecules of DNA. No plugs needed. So I arrive, escorted by men in black, to some African rural town or shanty in the middle of nowhere, and meet with the tribal leader and show him my gadgets. Show him how we can use them to count crops, weigh harvest, issue medicine. How we can provide enough energy to self-sustain without ever having to go into town. How to use them to create light and energy without electricity. Great cause, right? These things. We pick tracks, land with peculiar demographics, tribes, communities, where ancestral belief outweighs westernization and colonial religions when things get rough. We love to go places where people live by superstitions, and everything is either an idol or a demon. So this time I'm in Sukumaland, Tanzania. Dirt poor place. So destitute, folk gotta make women into witches to have someone to blame for it. Do you know that when a husband dies, the woman doesn't have the rights to the land? She becomes a squatter. until they run her off or something because the rain didn't come. Or a son kills her because he wants the rights to the property. So anyway, I'm mesmerizing this woman with my computer. Her eyes are blood red from years of bending over the smoke pots. But she's got one eye twinkling at me and the other looking around waiting for a beating. So her kid runs up, just trying to push her buttons. And then he comes, the husband. He knocks her over, body slams the kid, and grabs the computer. And all of a sudden, all the men come in, surrounding her, chanting, pointing at the woman, and staring at the husband, waiting for him to do something about her. And then a truck pulls up outside, and everybody scatters. And one lone woman, Alatash, jumps out. The husband rages at her. She slaps him repeatedly like a child and just keeps on slapping him. And then she's kicking him, moving her way down the body while he's on the floor. And she just keeps kicking and kicking and kicking him. The woman bends over to help her husband. Alatash knocks her clear across the room and keeps on kicking him. Then she signals for the wife to come on over. The wife backs off. Alatash goes over to her, snatches her up by her hair, and drags her over to her husband. And she starts manipulating the wife's foot like a puppet, kicking the husband. And the wife's eyes light up. And she straightens up like an ostrich and starts kicking him. So she and Alatash are kicking him endlessly until his ass bleeds. And then suddenly they stop. And Alatash is looking at me. She snatches the computer, slams it over the husband's head. Then she wails like an Ethiopian, and all of a sudden, men, mean-ass bushmen, come in with spears and AK-47s and grab me up and drag me here to the den. The sheen, spherical, iridescent, sheen surface clouds that roam the helix, tumbling with friction into another universe. The bubble rise and pop, O firefly, and laughing at the popping and the bubbles. Don't cry for me. Let me go. And laugh. Laugh at purpose. That's what bubbles do. Chemtrails that want for nothing but to live for fun in that moment. Reckless, careless, and then pop goes the weasel. Blow away, bubble. Burst, boy. Love. Yeah. That's what love is. Don't you feel it? It's amazing. Disorder. How can it be? Most everything has or has had a link to something that's keeping it in order. There are only certain things that a squirrel will do, can do, no matter how crazy they get. They don't need infrastructure. They are their own infrastructures. Bees, ants, even monkeys. Now humans, we think we have order, but we don't. We are not infrastructures. Our only purpose is to destroy every paradigm that we build. Give a kid a toy. It's only a matter of time before he's taken that toy apart. Lovers have to fight. We have to kill each other, tear ourselves apart. It's only human. Damn, that's so great. What are the chances that in 1 trillion other universes, there are other life forms bent on building shrines to suicide and worshiping gods helplessly? We are a species born to be out of control. Yeah, to be part of that. I want you to freeze everyone. So I can pick the one that I want to talk to all day long until I've had each and every one all to myself for a day. When I was little and my father would snore in his recliner at night, I would pucker my lips up, right up to his, and as he would breathe in, I'd pretend to kiss him. It was the closest I ever got to a goodnight kiss. And then I would sit down next to his chair and have a conversation with his snores. Have you ever done that? Had a conversation with someone snoring? You should try it. It's like a language. A tree does not grow up. It grows down. Don't you know that? The leaves, the branches, communicate with life upside down, hanging off the side of the earth. We are walking on the side of the earth, hanging on. Don't you know that? Pulled into it, as it were, via gravity, stuck. Or else we would be pulled off back to the beginning, where we came from. You must know that. That's the dust to dust. When we die, we just hover over our bodies and check things out. If we're not in denial, we hang around just long enough to make sure we get a good casket, or they wrap us up good and tight before they light us up. And then we go towards the light. That is actually our consciousness that was always there. That part of us that always knew what we know we knew. Our soul, our name. And then that light becomes our soul, our name, and we travel into that consciousness. And then we become who we actually are.